Welcome to another video. So in this video, I would like to talk about CLIs, or what's known as command line interface, right? So a CLI, or a command line interface, is I would say a program which is executed in a terminal, and you can interact with it, and you can basically use it as an application, right? So it's kind of like an application, any kind of application that you would see, like a graphical interface, but being text based instead of being graphical, right? So you could still you could build quite big applications and do quite complex things using CLIs. And many tools that we use on a regular basis as developers are actually CLI based tools. So if you work a lot with JavaScript or other languages for that matter, then you quite often come across CLIs for generating different types of files and doing lots of things and automating things that would otherwise be difficult to do manually. So let's look at the basics of how to create a CLI in Python. And so a CLI, I would say that it will provide the user of it multiple things that they can input to the system, and then the system will do something with that input and kind of return something back, right? And you can go back and forth and so on. But let's just look at doing the most simplest thing. So I just want to introduce the module arg parse, and we will get into that quite soon. So first and foremost, I want to actually add an if statement. I want to say if the name of the module is the main, basically we're running in the main scope, then we want to execute main. Okay, so let me do that. And we don't have a main yet, so I need to define the main function, and I'll just print hello world. So this would be the most basic thing that I'll do right now. So I'll just say Python, and I want to run 13 like that, and we get hello world back, which is nice. And now so basically all our code will be executed inside of the main function, and then of course it could be that I will add functions that are used or run inside of here, but I will actually just say the main program, right? So everything will be executed in the main function. And the first thing I want to do is I want to actually I want to actually just take some data and present it, right? So I need to create a parser. That's the first thing I need to do. So if I want to create a CLI, I need to create a parser, and the parser is kind of a tool that is provided in one of the modules named as the arg parse module, and it provides I would say like an API which you can use to add arguments, and you can say that there are multiple arguments that you can provide for, like, for example, let's say for the case of this simple program, I will just compute some values. Okay, so nothing else, like a calculator or something. Okay, so I'll say parser, right, because we want to create a parser, and I will use the arg parse module, and I need to import that. So I need to say import arg parse. And we see that if we hover over it, we will get some data about it. We will get some information about that. So there's a command line parsing library, and it explains how it's used and so on. But let's just try to create a parser now. So I'll say dot argument parser. And now you need to add some things, right? So I'll say the description is the disk, and there will be an epilogue, which I'll say integer calculator. Okay, and then I will also say that add help should be set to true. Let's run this just to see what happens. Okay, so it fails because it says that the desk is not defined, you know what? I will actually leave this and not use that. I'll just try to run this again. Okay, nothing happens. Nice. Well, I said nice because I'm not expecting anything to happen yet. And let's say I want to now add an argument. So I'll say that the first argument should be integer, right? So I'll say integer, first integer, first int, okay. And the meta var should be first integer. So I guess that this is kind of the name of the argument, and then this would be kind of what explains what the argument is. And then we want to have the type, which I will say is an int, and then the help is the first integer. And I also want to say a second integer, right? So we need to have two integers. So I'll just create a second argument, and I'll say second and second. So and then I want to kind of parse these arguments, right? So I want to say args, and then I have to use the parse args function, and then I want to just print out arguments. Actually, that's all I want to do. So to run this, I need to say Python CLI Basics, and we will see that it fails, which is expected because it says that it requires two arguments. So I'll have to say that first int is 1, second int is 2. Let's see if this works. Or maybe I need to, yeah, so I think that actually the meta var is what's actually supposed to be used. So I'll say first int here as well. Like that. And here I'll say second int. See if this works. It does not work. Let's see. Oh, I think I made a mistake here. Actually, it's supposed to be. Let's see. Will this work then? Okay, so I realized what the problem was. So the problem is that I'm not supposed to actually print out or type out the names of the arguments. I just need to provide them. So I'll say 5 and 5. And this will now give me first int is 5 and second int is 5. So I would say that this is a namespace, right? And since this is a namespace, I want to check what I can get from this. So I'll say, if I say args dot first int, I want to know what that is. Let's see. So since I'm parsing these args now, or I'm parsing these arguments, I now need to kind of access them, right? So well, the first thing I'll do is, so to get the first int, I have to use, I'll create a variable. I'll say int 1, or I can say, yeah, int 1. And I will set that to args.first int. And if I print this out, int 1, let's see what it gives me. It gives me 5. But the problem is that, so this is not yet an int. I don't think so. Let's see. It actually is, but the compiler doesn't really understand this to be an int. So I think I'll just say that this is meant to be an int. So I usually use TypeScript a lot, and I really don't like when the compiler doesn't know what a type is. So I'll have to say that this is meant to be an int, and the second one is also meant to be an int. I'll say args second int, right? And I'll then just print out print the the addition of the two integers are, and then I'll say int 1 plus int 2, right? But we know that we can't concatenate integers with strings, so I'll need to convert them to a string, right? We know this since before, so let's try to run this now. Let's see, 5 plus 5. The addition of the two integers are 10. So let's say 15 plus 5, 20, 15 plus 15, 30. So now we see that the program is working. And so this is a really simple use case, but hopefully it gives you some idea of what you can do with this. So you can see where this is going. You can do really complex things, really interesting interactive applications using the argparse. So I'll just go through, my purpose was to just go through the basics of argparse, but you can do many different things with this. Thanks for watching.